in the dark, and she won't answer when I call her name. On the stairs I smoke a cigarette alone. Mexican kids are shooting fireworks below. And hey, baby, it's the 4th of July.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Lund Loop Daily Update for Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. This is the last chance I'm going to get to talk to you before the 4th of July. So I'm going to go on a little rant here. If you don't like these rants, you can just fast forward. Don't worry, we are going to get to all the internal turmoil in the market, all the rotation, what's going on with the chip stocks and the memory stocks and big cap tech and all that stuff. We'll get to that in a second, but I have to go on a little bit of a rant here. Okay, so you'd think also I have to moderate myself because I get jacked about this topic. So, okay, good. All right. So you'd think last daily update before we get to the 4th of July, maybe I'll play something like Born in the USA as the opening song, right? Bruce Springsteen. No, Bruce Springsteen. You know why? Number one, don't really like the boss. Don't really like him. But number two, the 4th of July has nothing to do with being born in the United States of America. So I played 4th of July by X, an amazing local band. I've got so many immigrant, refugee, non-native born family members, including my wife, who are as American, as patriotic, if not more, than guys I know that grew up right down the street, right? So the 4th of July is about celebrating everybody that makes America great. No matter where you're from, if you're an American, you're all part of the same team. And I think one of the great things that's going on right now is this World Cup. I'm really warming to this World Cup. It's a metaphor for what goes on in this country. So we have got people from all over the world that are here in the United States. And if you go and you look at social media, you talk to people, you go to some of these events. I was at we were having ramen last night over at Bellaterra, and you knew when the U.S. scored because everybody in all the surrounding restaurants was going crazy. If you go to those places, Americans are not jacked because the World Cup is here in America. They're jacked because people from all over the world are coming here and are interacting with this country and with this people. And we're so open and so excited to share cultures. And you don't hear about any fights. You don't hear about any bullshit stuff. We're just so glad to have people from all around the world here. And I think another micro metaphor that's going on here in Southern California. It's no surprise there is a large percentage of the population here in Southern California that have Hispanic heritage, right? Mostly from Mexico. So you'll get people that are Hispanic that were born in Mexico that are now citizens. You get people that were born here but are of Mexican heritage. And then you get whiteys like me, right? That, go down to Mexico every now and then. Here's the great thing. Mexico and the U.S. are still in the World Cup. And everybody's, deciding what team they're for. Like, I know a guy who was born in Mexico who lives here. He wants America to win. I know a white guy that's never been to Mexico. He wants Mexico to win. It doesn't really matter who wants who to win. But the great thing is, everybody, to a T, it's like, if their team doesn't win, then I want the next one. So, for example, if someone... you got a guy born in Mexico. He lives here now. He's rooting for his home country's team, right? Mexico. But if Mexico doesn't win, you know who he wants to win? America. And it's the exact opposite. Guys I know that are like, USA, I hope we win. If they don't win, if they get knocked out, they're like, hey, Mexico, right? I love that aspect of this country. Greatest country in the history of the world. Okay. And people always do that little thing like, now we have our problems here. I'm not doing that. We have our problems here. Because guess what? Every country throughout history has problems. But we are the greatest country in the world. People want to come here. We also have the greatest stock market in the world. It is the biggest money-making machine in history. And here's what I love about our stock market, because it parallels the American experience to a huge extent. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter what your background is. Doesn't matter what your class is, who your parents are. Doesn't matter how poor, how rich you are. Doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. Doesn't matter your religious or cultural background. The stock market is the purest meritocracy there is. It will punish you and reward you equally. It's like this, right? And I think that is the greatest invention in the history of the world. That's what we try to do here in the Lund Loop. The Lund Loop is open to everybody. And I mean everybody. I don't care what your background is. I don't care your social orientation, your sexual orientation, your religious orientation. I don't care. All I care is that you're a decent person. That's it. That's how I break it down. Decent people and indecent people. I don't mean on a moralistic standpoint. I mean, do you contribute to the whole, right? Or do you take away from the whole? If you contribute to the whole, get in this community. We want you as a part of it. If you don't contribute to the whole, you can come in, but you'll be out in like 2 seconds. So anyway, I hope you have a great 3-day weekend. I hope you celebrate with people of all faiths, all nationalities, all backgrounds, because that's what makes this country great. All right, rant over. Now let's talk about some of this craziness in the market. I got so jacked to that intro, I forgot that my background lights were off and my overhead light was on. So anyway, let's get to some of these charts here. One of the things that we've been talking about a lot is this rotation in process between chip stocks, a lot of the AI names, the memory names, and some of the big cap tech names. Now, if you remember, I don't know if you remember this,
back and then chopped
on
all
the
day long.
25th. Even
Remember I
the
did this
memory
little
names,
rant.
they
about
sold
some of
off
the memory
hard at
names,
the
and I
open.
said, I
and
think
then
this is going to end
spent
badly
the rest
for
of the day
people. I think
going
people don't really
at this
know why
weird
they're
45-degree
names.
angle.
And
I don't think
we
it
talked about this guy who says, yeah, MU is going to 1,500. And this guy who said, yeah, 1,500. All right, so what day was that? That was, let's go to MU. That was this day, right? Stocks are down about 26, 27%. This stock's down 26, 27% since. Now, does that mean that the run's over? Can we get a reverse here? Sure. But is that what these people were thinking, that they were just going to sit through a 25, 26, 27% drawdown? Maybe, I guess. That's not really good management. But look at SMH. Tough day today. Down 5%, starting to roll over. NBIS, tough week here. Micron, we just talked about that. DRAM, rolling over. Iron, whoo, all these AI favorites. SanDisk. SanDisk had the biggest down day today since back here in February. And here's what's different. Take a look at this move in February. So here's what, we come up here, we have a little bit of a topping pattern, and we pull back. Okay, look at the difference here now. We have this gap up, gap down, gap up, hard sell off, gap up, roll over. That feels more like a topping pattern there than here. Again, not saying that the move's over. I'm just saying, is this where you want to be, right? And if you do want to be here, how are you managing it? Meanwhile, a lot of names really moved in the last 5 days. Palantir, gone from a low of 106 to as high as 133. Microsoft with a nice bounce off a double bottom. Amazon starting to get going a little bit here. Google, Meta, even though it gave a lot back today. Tesla, whew, ugly day there. Let's forget about that. But the point is, there seems to be some sort of rotation going on. And the question is, where is this going to end? Right? Are we getting a dead cat bounce off of those software names, off those big cap tech names that have been so beaten down, and now they're just going to roll back over and we're going to see memory and chips go back into gear? Or are we going to see money continue to come out of memory, continue to come out of AI, continue to come out of chips, and continue to go in to those beaten down names? I've got my own opinion on that. I think we need to go through the charts and take a look at it. So let's do that right now.